Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Just want to welcome you to Talking Point Smash version 1.1. If you're familiar with this series, you know what we do is we take dumb nigga talking points and we smash them one by one. The talking point that I want to smash first is going to be three. But the first dumb nigga talking point is we can't build a black African community or a socio-economic and political infrastructure because if we do, the white man will attack it and destroy it. First thing I want to say is this. If you're having a grown man conversation, then you have to have grown men involved in the conversation. The reason why this is even a question or reason why this is even a talking point is because instead of having real strong black African men who want power and are winners, the conversation is being discussed by bitch ass niggas. And as you know, bitch ass niggas are defeated Africans. Bitch ass niggas cannot possibly conceive of ever controlling their own communities or controlling their own destinies. Bitch ass niggas live in fear. Bitch ass niggas are never direct. Bitch ass niggas always come on the flank and never approach a problem directly. That's the main point. The fact that that's even a question shows that you're dealing with some weak ass bullshit, bitch ass nigga shit. Because a black man is not going to have that conversation. Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? So you don't build nothing? You just sit back and be a bitch and allow people to run you? That's the alternative to starting something yourself. And if a nigga try to attack you, then you deal with the attack. That's just the way it goes. But the thing about this whole attack and stuff and violence that everybody's so concerned about is that the initial action is non-aggressive. To establish that socio-economic and political infrastructure doesn't take us getting any military weaponry. It's something as simple as building a farmer's market in your community. You know what I'm saying? There's other things that we got to do, no doubt, because we have an occupation in our community. But initially, the initial action, a lot of that stuff can get done without it being on the radar of any type of threat to anybody. You know, I'm not going to get into details, but I just put it that way. And as far as us protecting and defending ourselves, that should just go without saying. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, the mafia doesn't make any public, announcements before they do what they do. The triad doesn't make any public announcements before they do what they do and establish their presence in their own communities. The Yakuza, the Mossad, all of these groups, they don't operate with a microphone. It's just that you know that if you go into a certain neighborhood, you can't act a certain way because there's going to be consequences to your acts. And nobody makes no announcements about it. We, on the other hand, we got to make a public announcement. Everything we do got to be on CNN. You know what I'm saying? So the main thing about that dumb nigga talking point that I want to address and just point out is that it's a bitch nigga discussion. Black men want power and black men want control over their community. And as far as I'm concerned, you can talk about the white man all day long. That shit has to be done. Oh, this is a wrap. Let's stop pretending to be men and just be bitches. If that's what you really about, you don't think that we should build anything, and that anything we try to do, the white man's gonna come and destroy. Then just admit that you the white man's bitch, and just get out the fucking conversation. Let some real men talk about building something.
Nigga, shut the fuck up, boy. Shift my word. Now what you gonna do? You gonna...
Now, dumb nigga talking point number 2. Class warfare and racial identity politics are destructive to the black community. First of all, let's just say this. Racial identity politics is good for everyone but Africans. This is how they think. Because for 300 years, and I'm talking about from 1675 before 1776, the American colonies, the states, and the federal government allotted untold billions of dollars of public wealth exclusively to members of the white race. And this was before Executive Order number 10925 signed by President Kennedy. This was before, that was in 61. This was before that. So these motherfuckers were socialists up until 1961. Now they want to be fucking conservatives. I'm not even going to go into the laundry list of white entitlements that was going on in this country before this 1961 so-called the executive order that put into motion this whole take affirmative action stuff. I'm not even going to go into that. I have a 2-part video in my videos called White Affirmative Action Part 1 and 2. And I go down a whole laundry list of giveaways by the government, and these are these people that now are pretending to be conservatives and small government people. But for 300 years, these motherfuckers was getting benefit after benefit, subsidy after subsidy, land, all kinds of stuff given to them for pennies on the dollar because they were white. And now that you've amassed all of this wealth, now that you've established and entrenched yourself in the infrastructure of this country, now all of a sudden your bitch ass want to be conservative, and now you don't want to play identity politics. Well, motherfucker, no, what it is you don't want us to play identity politics, because you don't want to stop us from being on the come up, because you already got yours. It's that simple. And then you got these bootlicking dumbass niggas who out here pushing that talking point. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, the presupposition that these motherfuckers actually care about the black community is a complete fallacy on its face. It's just so transparent how full of shit these niggas are. You think that it's destructive to the black community as if you give a fuck about the black community. How are you going to care about the black community where you constantly work in the interest of white folks every waking moment of your miserable existence? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'm not even going to spend any more time on that talking point because that's smashed as far as I'm concerned.
Nigga, shut the fuck up, boy. Shift my word. Now what you gonna do?
Now this one is my favorite. Africans sold other Africans into slavery. Now some people might ask me, now why are you making that a talking point? Because isn't that true? And the answer is, yes it is. But it's not the truth or the untruth of the statement that I'm addressing. What I'm addressing is the reason why it's brought up in the first place. The reason why you hear this Africans sold other Africans into slavery is that whenever we get into the concept of nationality, what are we going to call ourselves? People say, well, I'm not African, I'm black. I'm black American, I'm not African. And my brother, Mr. Destructive, I can't think of his username exactly, but he's on my YouTube channel under my favorite listing of people. I have my Take Notes people and I have my other associates, of people who I think is putting out good work, and he put out like a video response addressing this issue, and I thanked him because I didn't have to dedicate another video toward it. He smashed it completely. Um, the reason why they raised this is because it's sort of like, well, you calling yourself African, but Africans sold other Africans into slavery. And unwittingly, these dummies don't realize that if you raise that up as a talking point, you're basically saying that we are Africans. Because if we're not Africans, why do you care whether Africans sold other Africans into slavery? You're a black American. That had nothing to do with you. We just sprang up out of the ground here in America. We didn't come up through chattel slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't go through all of that. We just sprung up out of the ground as black Americans, totally detached from Africa, with no history whatsoever except the history that started when we sprang up out of the ground, which happened to be at the same time that Africans were brought to the shores here in America. I don't know what happened to those Africans, because once they was brought here to the shores, nobody can quite explain to me what happened to them. They're not us though. They're not African Americans. They're not black Africans. I'm sorry. They're not black Americans. But somehow there was this period of time where the African came over from Africa to the shores of America, and they just disappeared. Those Africans disappeared. And then we came along out of the ground like Dawn of the Dead. I mean, why are we, you know what? I'm going to say this. I am going to make a declaration right here today. We in the African Center community have totally smashed this. Smashed it and stomped it into the ground. To the point that if you raise this again, you're going to make yourself look like a complete idiot. All of the people that I mean, Kamal Makasi Tahuti, my brother, Shaka and Dugu Kemet. Oh, I mean, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name all the names. All I can say is this. We have totally smashed this talking point to the point where, why are we even dealing with this anymore? If you don't know that you're African, it's nothing that we can do for you. I'm quite, like the talking, like the energy behind it is because Africans sold other Africans to the white man, now we're not Africans anymore. So it's the equivalent of, like, let's say a cat has a fight with other cats or gets mistreated by cats. So now the cat is a dog. There's an old African proverb that says, a log can stay in the water for 10 years, but it does not become a crocodile. But in the mind of these Negroes who come up with this, I'm black, but I'm not African. You look in the water, if that log has been there for 10 years, it's a crocodile now. Why it's so, the lunacy of that mentality is so ridiculous that I can't even address it. I can't even address it, man. I don't know what to do for you. Another thing, and then this is another important point that I wanted to talk about, this African sold Africans into slavery. Who initiated the concept of using African slaves for free labor here in America? And were there any Africans at that meeting? So let me get this straight. You don't ever want to be associated with Africa or Africans or call yourself African because of the Africans' role in the slave trade. But you'll forgive and love the person who initiated the concept, the European, the white man. So you love him even though he initiated the concept, even though he took you as a slave and persecuted you in this country under slavery. You forgive him. He gets a get out of jail free card. But them fucking Africans, which brings me back to my other point. If you're not African, why are you even concerned about that? As a matter of fact, how did you become a slave? Because you're not the people that brought from Africa, according to you. And then you got some people who want to be slick and say, well, I'm not African, but I'm of African descent. Okay. I'm not a cat. I'm really a dog, but I'm of cat descent. That makes sense to you. moving right along. Another thing, if children can't use "he did it too" as a defense when they do something wrong, what makes these niggas think that that works for white folks? What makes niggas think that that works for the European? You're going to just sidestep your role in the slave trade and then go, well, Africans did it too. See, he did it too. If that don't work for your kids, why the fuck is it going to work for them? You know, like I said, this point has been smashed to the point that it doesn't. This is like me just kicking on a corpse right now. Your black ass is African, you dummy. And if you don't like it, learn to love it, because it's the best thing going, as Ric Flair would say.
Nigga, shut the fuck up, boy. Give my word. Now what you gonna do? You gonna...
Anyway, that's all I got to say on this shit. Damn, this took 15 minutes? Shit. Anyway, I'll holler at you good people later. Hit me up if you want another talking point smashed at holipsism@gmail.com. Talk to you good people later. One.